everyone. This is Bill Griffin. Welcome to Different Take Podcast. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Appreciate you watching. I'm doing this episode near the end of 2022, wishing all a happy, healthy, prosperous 2023. Today I want to talk about some headlines or show you some headlines that I've seen on various news articles during the year, op-eds particularly, that I find kind of interesting. Some are humorous. Before I get to that, Congress just passed a $1.7 trillion legislation, more deficit spending. And I did an episode not long ago where I said, well, if you vote for a Democrat, you're voting for inflation. The U.S. is facing, I think, a severe recession. When you have experts all calling for, or predicting, I should say, a recession, and the odds are it's going to be a severe recession because that's generally what happens. In spite of this, all Democrats vote for this. Some Republicans, 18 in the Senate, 8 in the House, a handful in the House. But you have no chance with Democrats. They spend. They have no concern with the fiscal policy necessary to tame inflation. Zero. This spending bill also shows how corrupt Washington establishment politicians are, because there's $50 billion or something like that earmarked for Ukraine, proxy war the United States and the West is involved in. Country that 180 billion GDP. We're sending 100 billion so far. I don't even know how many of the other European countries have contributed to this. Seen this movie before in other military occupations. The United States wastes their money on something that most people are not saying this is going to work. Russia, I think they control about 20% of the country, and they think that they're going to back up after they started this. It's not going to happen. This is from The Hill. I think this was done the 21st. Zelensky to address Congress amid rising fears of massive Russian winter offensive. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will make his historic visit to Washington, D.C. on Wednesday at a critical time in his country's war with Russia, as Ukrainian officials warn Moscow's amassing upwards of 200,000 troops for a renewed offensive within the first 3 months of next year. Okay, if Ukrainian government is saying Moscow is massing upwards of 200,000, it's probably a lot more troops than that. You have Russia, border country of Ukraine. They control about 20% of the country. Odds are they're not going to back up. This is they want this buffer. They want to make sure Ukraine is not a part of NATO, and that's what they want. And I think they want that more than the United States, because if we really wanted to protect Ukraine, we wouldn't be halfway in this. The public will not put up with, in my opinion, a war in which United States troops are sent to Ukraine, but yet we send $100 billion there to a country that only has $180 billion GDP. I think I may be doing an episode sometime next year that, or somebody will do an episode talking about the fact that Russia now controls Ukraine, and their military's been deteriorated to the point where it's just a total mess in Ukraine, and they're not going to be able to rebuild the country anytime soon because the Russians probably won't allow it. Hopefully, wiser heads will prevail, and there will be some peace talks. But I am not optimistic. These are some headlines that I ran across during the year. Washington Post, November 21, 2022. This opinion. The Colorado massacre cannot be blamed on mental illness. It's rooted in hate. The person who wrote this, there is no way he could possibly have known this. This is to prey on emotion, and the person that wrote this, probably, my guess is they're probably on the left, and they're pretty hateful. You see that trend a lot. Same topic. This is San Francisco Chronicle. Editorial: bigotry couldn't fuel the red wave. It led to the Colorado shooting instead. Same topic. Bigotry fueled this. While the country may have suppressed the broader menace of an authoritarian-minded red wave in this recent election, all it takes is one violent person with a gun to set back progress. So anyone who did not vote for a Democrat and voted in the election, and they voted the other way, led to the Colorado shooting. That's kind of how you got to read that. This is from CNN, December 8th, 2022. Biden administration awards $36 billion to save the pensions of 357,000 union workers. The interesting word in this headline is awards. In other words, it's totally discretionary on the Biden administration's part who gets help like this. And to save the pensions, okay, the reason in this case, without going through all the details, is you have 357,000 union workers, and their pension, they didn't contribute enough to their pension fund for it to be sustainable. So why not everybody's pension? Why not help everybody out? This headline's always from the point of assisting the government in whatever vote buying scheme that they come up with. Because the reason you're not going to bail out other pension funds is maybe you're not buying their votes. This is Jennifer Rubin, Washington Post, December 18th, 2022. Pushing back against hate does matter. Okay, Jennifer Rubin, if you're not familiar with her, she writes a lot of hateful stuff toward her political enemies. She hates Donald Trump. But yet, there's only certain kinds of hate that are okay. Whenever you hear anyone say, stop hate, you got to think, okay, do they really not hate anyone? And is that me? Am I supposed to stop hating, or am I supposed to stop other people from hating, which is a fool's errand? This is from the LA Times. Think climate change is scary? Try talking to your kids about it. Okay. Of all the things that you could scare your kids, of all the things that you could talk about to scare your kids, climate change. There's a lot of scary things out there. The high crime that people are experiencing, war, there is a famine across the world, and this person is so concerned about climate change that he's willing to, and this happens, scare his own daughter into even potentially not wanting to reproduce, because that's happening across the country. They're preying on people's emotions, not logic. The next headline is also from the LA Times, November 27, 2022. This was a Thanksgiving op-ed. Free food for all. Absolutely. In this age of abundance, it should be a human right. So there's a concept. Should be a human right. You mean in the United States or across the world? Because there's people starving all over the world. You know, there was this saying, a man who will work will not go hungry, but it doesn't matter whether you work or not, whether you contribute to society or not. You're supposed to get, if you were able-bodied, you work and you don't go hungry. But that's not what this person's saying. Straight out of Marxist playbook. The next one is from NPR. November 21, after Rittenhouse verdict, activists fear for their safety at future demonstrations. So this happened late 21. Riot occurred in 2022. Anybody that saw this would know that a lot of those people that were present during the Rittenhouse incident where he defends himself and is acquitted with, you would assume, pressure to convict. A jury finds him not guilty. Remember, the media is always clamoring for a conviction, and acquittals are generally low percentage. But this jury acquits, and NPR claims that the people there will now fear for their safety at future demonstrations. But see, here's the thing. This was a demonstration of violence. If anyone saw the videos, and I'm afraid a lot of the NPR listeners, and if you watch ABC, CBS, NBC, and that sort of thing, you may not know how violent it was, and you may not know the story. But so you are going to be fearing for their safety, and instead of explaining that there's no reason for that, NPR, you should be afraid. And the last one, in Red, California, LGBTQ people still feel under threat. There's no safe place anywhere. In politically red stretches of California, the Colorado Springs massacre was yet another devastating reminder of how difficult and lonely it can be to queer and conservative America. So, the idea that the LGBTQ people that live in red stretches of California could be physically harmed. You're just promoting fear. It's based on emotion. It really doesn't make much sense. I could go on and on with these headlines, but I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe, like, share, comment if you like the content. Thanks for watching.